when the Soviets finally saw what America had built. They had prepared for missiles. They had prepared for arrogance. They had prepared for a nation obsessed with power and spectacle. What the Soviet visitors were not prepared for was how normal everything looked, and how perfectly it worked. For years, the Cold War had been fought through speeches, threats, and shadows. On one side, a closed world built on control and secrecy, and the other, a country that had just emerged from the most destructive war in human history, not only victorious, but transformed. By the late 1950s, the United States was no longer simply a military power. It was something far more unsettling to its rivals. A functioning machine, built at a scale the world had never seen before. When Soviet engineers, officials, and observers were finally allowed to step inside American-controlled spaces, many of them expected to find exaggeration. They expected decay behind the curtain. They expected to see a society stretched thin by excess. That was what they had been told their entire lives. But the first shock came not from weapons or factories producing bombs or even from advanced research labs. It came from places so ordinary that no one thought to warn them. Supermarkets. Endless aisles of food, organized, clean, constantly replenished. No ration cards, no state-issued limits, just abundance. Not for elites, but for everyone. Meat, fruit, packaged goods, frozen foods, all available at once. Some of the visitors walked slowly, not out of awe, but confusion. They searched for the hidden cost, the missing piece. One Soviet observer later admitted that he kept waiting for someone to explain where the shortages were. They never came. The machines unsettled them even more. Washing machines that ran unattended, refrigerators larger than entire kitchen walls back home, vending machines that delivered food instantly, without permission, without paperwork, without oversight. One man reportedly stood in front of such a machine for several minutes, reading the instructions over and over, convinced there had to be a trick. The idea that technology existed to serve comfort, not control, was foreign to him. But it was inside American factories that the deeper realization began to set in. Yes, the machines were advanced. Yes, the production lines were efficient. But what disturbed the visitors most was not the technology itself. It was the people operating it. Workers spoke freely. Machines were stopped if something felt wrong. Adjustments were discussed openly. Engineers listened to technicians. No one waited for permission from a distant authority to fix a problem in front of them. To men raised in a system where silence meant survival, this was deeply unsettling. One Soviet engineer later wrote, in a private journal never meant to be published, that the machinery impressed him, but the confidence of the workers frightened him. He realized, perhaps for the first time, that American power did not come only from steel or electricity, but from trust placed in individuals to think, decide, and act. The most dangerous moment of the visit was not documented in any official report. It happened quietly, in the minds of those who saw that what they had been told for decades did not match reality. America was not collapsing under its own weight. It was refining itself, improving, iterating. While one system focused on appearing strong, the other focused on working better. When the visitors returned home, there were no public statements, no interviews, no celebrations. Some were explicitly warned not to speak about what they had seen. Others understood without being told. A few kept journals, hidden, cautious, written in language stripped of emotion. Yet between the lines, something was clear. The encounter had shaken them in a way no weapon ever could. History often remembers the Cold War as a contest of missiles and ideology. But for those who lived it, the most powerful demonstration of strength did not arrive on a battlefield. It waited quietly behind glass doors, under fluorescent lights, in factories that never stopped, and in machines that simply worked, every single day. And for the men who saw it with their own eyes, the war was no longer theoretical. They had seen what America had built, and they knew they could never unsee it.